call to order the regular meeting of the West Valley City Council. Let the minutes show that all members of the council are here with the exception of Aaron Lang, who is excused this evening. We have an opening ceremony each week, and we take turns as council members on conducting that opening ceremony, and today it's Council Member Steve Bueller's turn. Councilman, what do we have?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I was thinking about what to present tonight, and I was thinking of one of my American heroes who was born just over 205 years ago. We just had his birthday last month. And this is General Robert E. Lee. He was the most famous general of the Civil War Confederacy. His father was Light Horse Harry Lee, a war hero of the American Revolution. Robert E. Lee was a career military man and had already distinguished himself as a commander prior to the Civil War. When war broke out between the North and the South, he was offered command of a Union army, which he declined, knowing that in his heart he could not fight against his homeland, Virginia. As the commander of the Army of Northern Virginia, he surrendered to U.S. Grant on April 9, 1865. His surrender was the beginning of the peace and healing of our nation. Without his surrender, accomplished against President Jefferson Davis's orders and contrary to the counsel of his advisors, the history of this country would read much differently than it does. Robert E. Lee was one of the most inspirational and tactical generals ever to command an army in these United States, but he is one of my heroes, not so much for how he made war, but for how he made peace. Once he had given his best effort against the Union, he laid down his sword and accepted the new America that the Civil War had created around him. I admire him for his peacemaking character and wanted to share a clip illustrating the greatness of the man. This is taken from a documentary titled April 1865.
It's a warm spring Sunday at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Richmond. As the minister is about to present Holy Communion, a tall, well-dressed black man sitting in the section reserved for African Americans unexpectedly advances to the communion rail. Unexpectedly, because this has never happened here before.
And everyone paused. This was literally turning the heavens upside down for the Southerners. It was one thing for them to have lost the war. It was another thing for them to have had their country laid waste to. But for their very traditions to be turned upside down in their own homes or in their own churches, this was really too much.
The congregation freezes. Those who have been ready to go forward and kneel at the communion rail remain fixed in their pews. The minister stands in his place stunned and motionless. The black man slowly lowers his body, kneeling at the communion rail.
I mean, the war answered some things. It killed slavery. But what was left unanswered was, how is the United States going to work out a biracial society? We are still struggling with that.
After what seems an interminable amount of time, an older white man rises, his hair snowy white, head up, and eyes proud. He walks quietly up the aisle to the chancel rail.
And he was a man who had only recently said, I am penniless and I am homeless, and I have nothing left to live for. Yet this was also a man who many Southerners looked to for guidance and for wisdom as to what to do next.
So with silent dignity and self-possession, the white man kneels down to take communion along the same rail with the black man.
It's an important public gesture to show that it's all over parishioners, and this is part of the new world that we'll be living in.
And when Robert E. Lee knelt down next to this black man with a sort of mixture of hope and expectation, he was saying, this is what the future of the United States should be. This is what our legacy of April 1865 should be.
Lee has said he is rejoiced that slavery is dead. But this action indicates that those were not idle words meant to placate a northern audience. Here among his people, he leads wordlessly through example. The other communicants slowly move forward to the altar with a mixture of reluctance and fear, hope and awkward expectation. In the end, America would defy the cruel chain of history besetting nations torn apart by civil war.
Thank you, Jake. And General Lee is one of my heroes because he exemplified there that though we may fight for what we believe in, when all said and done, we can make peace and move forward. And that's what we need to do all the time we have those fights as citizens of this greatest nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bueller. That's very moving. Come to item 4 tonight, which is our special recognitions, and this is where we get to acknowledge the scouts that are with us tonight as well. I see a good-looking group there in the front row. Is there a senior patrol leader or boy leader who'd like to come up and introduce the group? We ask for your name and troop number and where you live roughly and what badge you're working on tonight.
Okay, my name is Brennan Ketchum. I am the senior patrol leader of troops 662, 672, and 913. We are working on the Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge. We reside from the Colony West Subdivision, just west of Winter and Valley View Memorial Cemetery, and south of 4100 South. So,
Hey, well, welcome neighbors.
we're glad to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And are you all part of that troop? Wow, what a good-looking, well-organized troop there. And there's a second group there in the back. Great, thank you, Brennan. If we could have a representative from that group come up. Same thing, tell us your name and what troop number you are and what badge you're working on and where you live roughly.
My name is Anna Marstella. I'm the senior patrol leader for Troop 644 of the Jordan North 5th Ward. We are here working on the Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge.
Where do you live roughly, or what school is close to you where you live?
I live roughly close to Granger High School.
Okay, well welcome. Good to have you with us as well. Thank you, Anna. Any other scout groups with us tonight? Okay, we had some council members propose, and we think it's a good idea that in our special recognition this evening, we have a moment of silence for 2 young former West Valley City residents, Braden and Charles Powell. So if you could please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Our police chief is up in Washington State, as many of you have seen on the news, and our investigation continues to go forward on the Powell case, and what a horrific turn of events there we've seen. We come to item 5 tonight, which is the approval of the minutes of January 17th. Colleagues?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. We come to item 6 this evening, which is our comment period. And any person who signed up to speak this evening should limit their remarks to 5 minutes. And we'll have you come up to the microphone. No person addressing the City Council during the comment period shall be allowed to comment more than once, and speakers should not expect any debate or dialogue with the mayor, council, or city staff. Although if you bring specific issues with us, we do try to at least point you in the right direction, even though we don't have the time to solve all the problems in a detailed manner. Here we're all ears and want to hear what you have to say. We had 4 people sign up this evening. You, Michael, did I say that right, sir?
Half is right, thank you. Uwe Michel.
Uwe Michel.
I go by Sean.
Right, thanks, Sean.
Council, thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate what you do. I know it takes a lot on your time to provide this service. I'm a broker by trade. I also am a contractor, a landlord, and a lender. I buy a lot of houses, especially in the West Valley City area, from foreclosures. I've remodeled probably over 40 houses in your community over the last 2 or 3 years. I feel I can make a difference in improving the community. Moreover, I'm a small lender, but I've loaned well over $3 million over the last course of 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, I've now acquired some of those properties back because of the economy. I want to address my remarks to something that concerns me. First of all, I have a wonderful relationship with the staff here. You get no complaints out of me, but one of the concerns I have is the non-compliance orders that are issued in West Valley City and the lack of notice that's given to the public for those orders. When I buy a property, I obviously check the title. The only thing I ever received from West Valley City is a notice of non-compliance, but it speaks of no detail as to the damages or the costs. And therefore it makes it very difficult for me to make an assessment on what I'm going to have to pay when I sell that house. In your packet, you should have all received a packet. Toward the last 4 pages, there's one notice, and all of these have been cleared up, I might want to add, where we purchased a property and the assessment and fines were over $80,000. That's a lot of money to be paid for a weed and debris kind of an assessment. And what I want to establish is there's got to be a way where there's a recorded interest, so it puts the public at notice as to what the damages are and what the costs are in any property. As a lender, I'm also concerned with when a lien is recorded now, that lien becomes almost like a state tax lien, and it takes priority over the loans. And as a result, I no longer loan money in West Valley City because your lien will then take priority over my loan should the property owner choose not to mow his weeds or not comply with the ordinances. I propose just a couple small changes. Number one, I think if there's damages, they ought to be collected by the party that created the damages. I think if there's liens, the liens ought to be paid according to when they were recorded. That's the way state statute works, and not take priority over the loans. There is a bill, as you heard previously, House Bill, I think it's 273. A copy of the old bill is in your packet that is in the process of being modified that may change some of the statutes, that it will be greater than what was talked about in your former meeting. But I think some policy needs to change regarding non-compliance in West Valley City. The main issue I have is sometimes, like on the $84,000 judgment, we were able to get that completely wiped away and pay nothing, and yet on another one that was only $5,000, we ended up paying $2,800. It seems inconsistent, and so I think there needs to be a standard policy. I'm grateful to be part of your community. It's a great experience, and I just wanted to clarify that. I do have a packet here for Councilman Lang. If I could leave that with someone, you could give that to her. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sean. We appreciate all that you have done in our community and some good suggestions there that we'll visit with our staff on. Some important things. Jan Markland.
Hi, I'm Jan Markland, and I live over on Bedford Road, 4390 South, and that's in District Number 2. We just have some concerns, and I was told to come to the council that you were the guys that can help me on this. We have a neighbor who lives across the street from us, and his name is so long that nobody can pronounce it, so he just tells us to call him Mohammed. And so when I refer to Mohammed, that's who I'm talking about as his neighbor. He's selling used mattresses from his home that he gets out of garbage dumpsters at different used furniture stores. I've provided Officer Harwood with many pictures of this. It's been going on for months now. She warned him not to do this because he didn't have a business license. Officer Harwood finally had to issue him a business license. Norma from the license department told me that he wouldn't be able to get a business license to sell these mattresses until he had paid the fine. I was told that the neighbors would have a say-so whether or not this business license would be issued. That's why I went around to all the neighbors that lived around his house. I think there's 2 or 3 copies up there. And the map on the back shows his house is the square, and the people that are on that petition are the people that live directly around his house. I testified in West Valley City Court on the 26th of January. The officer asked me if I would, because Mohammed had refused to pay the sign. He said it's his property, he'll do what he wants on it. And so, and as far as I know, he hadn't paid his fine at court time, and he still refused to pay it. But I found out at this meeting that West Valley City has issued him a business license. I can't tell you how upset I was about this. The properties of, or the property owners in Briargate subdivision were quite upset too. He doesn't even own this property, but he's now running a used furniture store out of it. Officer Harwood has pictures. She asked me to help because we live directly across the street. She's got pictures of stacks of mattresses in his driveway, old TVs, a couch. Also people loading baby cribs and mattresses, bunk beds and mattresses. These are all used furnitures, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a used furniture store. They are able to sell things up to 10 o'clock at night, which they have been. The health department was called by Officer Harwood. Mohammed was told that he couldn't sell these used mattresses. It was a health hazard, and they were concerned about bed bugs. As soon as he showed his business license, they decided that they no longer wanted to be involved with this. Judge Brown of the West Valley City Court said that he couldn't understand why he was ever given a business license for selling furniture in a residential area. He also said that he sure wouldn't want it in his neighborhood. The woman from the health department also commented that she wouldn't want it in her neighborhood. The judge is the one that told me to come to the West Valley City Council and see if something couldn't be worked out. The judge told Mohammed that he really shouldn't continue selling mattresses from his home because it's going to cause problems, but he wouldn't tell him he couldn't because West Valley City had given him a business license. I will add that he is still selling stuff from his home. My question is why? Why did he get this license? We have very heavy traffic on Bedford Road. We already have 3 hotels in our subdivision. Hotels are houses that rent rooms to people, and they don't have off-street parking. Therefore, you've got cars parked on both sides of the street. And when they're parked on both sides of the street, there's only one single lane that traffic can get up, and that causes a backup in the traffic. And on top of all this traffic, now we've got a used furniture store. This is a residential area. It's not a business area. I just wonder, is it all about the money that West Valley City gets for a business license that has caused this? I'm here today to ask the council to not allow this kind of business in an area where we're trying to raise our families. There are a lot of good people that are leaving West Valley City because of problems that aren't being addressed. We've lived in our home for 35 years. We would like to stay in our home. But you know, we've got questions. We've had a lot of friends in our subdivision that have moved. They've moved to Riverton. Riverton doesn't allow hotels in subdivisions where they rent individual rooms. I mean, there are guidelines. This is a family area. I'm asking that you please do something. We don't want a used furniture store there. We don't want the used mattresses there. And we hope that the council can be with us and help us to resolve this mistake that's been made. And I think it definitely has been a mistake on West Valley City's part to allow any type of this business to go into a residential area. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Marklin. Mr. Pyle, I've heard from Ms. Marklin on the telephone about this issue off and on a number of times over recent months, and I'm sure our staff's aware. Do you have a designated staff member or yourself touch base with her for any new information, and maybe send a memo to my colleagues on the council and myself on what the situation is there, and what are the parameters this business would need to operate in, or why it received a license in the first place, some of those things, because I think some valid questions were raised.
Yes, we can do that, Mayor.
Thank you. And thank you. Bill Barton.
Thank you, Honorable Council, Mayor Mike, and this message, and I told Wayne, our city manager, that especially for him too. And it's really good to see a fresh face. Tom, I haven't been here since you occupied the seat up here, but it's good to see you up there. Thank you. Well, last month, gentlemen, I had the opportunity to sit in on a presentation by two private golf course companies given to explain the benefits to the State Department of Parks about privatizing their golf courses. One of these companies is the well-known Billy Casper Golf Company. These companies, who maintain and operate many government-owned courses across this country, claim to save, and in some cases even make money for the government entity that owns the courses. I bring this to you because I know that each year our city, West Valley, has to contribute funds from the general fund to help cover costs at both of our golf courses. A situation that really may not be necessary, as many cities and counties have found. I suggest, as a West Valley resident and taxpayer, that this council consider seriously this alternative to present in-house management and operation of its golf courses. I would also urge you to arrange a presentation to be done by some private golf companies on this issue at one of your immediate upcoming study sessions. And I'm going to give our recorder Sherry copies of this letter, and at the bottom there are some references on these golf companies. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barton. Sounds like some interesting proposals that in these tight economic times would be worthwhile for us to take a look at. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Mr. Finbow.
Thank you for allowing me to come before this group. And as Bill Barton said, first time I've had the opportunity to welcome Tom to the Shark Tank. I wish that, the council, I just wish that Karen could have been here too. Anyway, thank you for your time. I have a dirty story, so I hope you'll bear with me. But this past week, West Valley City came out and vacuumed, or whatever the process is, of my main sewer line by my house. And I was pretty impressed that they were out there taking care of business, until I went down in my basement and found that everything was not going down the sewer. That's my dirty story. I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but I would like to get some answers. I just didn't feel a bit comfortable about having to clean up residue in my basement. Thankfully, it's linoleum, there's no carpet, there's no people living down there, but I don't think that should have happened. Thank you.
So again, just so I understand, so the sewage is backing up from your drain?
They came through the city with this big vacuum truck, which they have done over the years. Whatever the function is, I don't know, but I'm assuming that it's a flush, it's a vacuum for the main line. And in the course of this operation, there was backup in my home, and I didn't really think that was necessary.
But I'm trying to understand where the backup came from. Out of a drain, or?
Yeah, out of the floor drain in my basement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there? Who would be a good one for him to visit with on that one point?
What I'll have is, or what I'll have done is, I'll have Russ get an answer back to you. I'm still not sure, Mr. Finbow, from your description. It sounds like it would have been from the sewer system, but you're saying you think it was a city Vactor?
I wasn't home. Yes, I'm sure that it was that big vacuum truck, whatever the title of that critter is. I wasn't home at the time. My wife and my daughter were trying to describe the vehicle to me. So I personally can't say it was Tom and Joe and Fred driving this green and white truck that whatever the function was, I don't know.
Okay, I'll have Russ call you.
I would appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, sir. This concludes our comment periods. We now go to item 7, where we have a specific ordinance that requires a public hearing. Oh, Mr. Barton?
You have a little time left on the comment period? Karen wanted to say something.
Well, in that case, I'll take Karen. We can't take you because you, the rules are we can only have you once.
This is just a quick postscript.
Yeah, go ahead.
To the Robert E. Lee story. Many times visiting Washington, D.C., we've toured the monuments, and there's an Arlington Cemetery. And on that property is a gorgeous home by even today's standard. It has big pillars, large rooms, beds that go under the beds when all the kids would come, a summer kitchen, and it sits on a knoll above the Potomac River and looks down upon Washington, D.C. Robert E. Lee was married to Martha Washington's granddaughter. That was his home. And when he went to be the general for the Southern troops that made the North mad, and in those days you had to come home to pay your taxes. He, of course, was in the war, so he didn't come home. I think he owed something like $45.73 property taxes. They took the property and put the first grave at the front door so he could never live there again. That is Arlington Cemetery. I thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Good historical trivia for you scouts tonight, too. Some interesting things. We now close the comment period and go to ordinance 12-05. Mr. Pyle, if you could introduce that, please.
Thank you, sir. This first ordinance for consideration is to obtain public input regarding a proposed vacation here in the city. The address of the proposed vacation is Parkway Avenue, and the alley that adjoins that. There's a certain number of lots over there in the Chesterfield subdivision that this proposed vacation might affect. The applicant is Mr. Ken Menlove.
Okay, thank you. We now open the public hearing to consider input on ordinance 12-05. Is there anyone who's come to speak on that specific issue today? Okay, seeing no one, I close the public hearing and turn over to the council for their discretion.
Mayor, move for approval of ordinance 12-05.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion to that motion? All in favor of approving 12-05, say aye.
Aye.
It appears to pass unanimously. Mr. Pyle, please introduce ordinance 12-06.
Thank you, sir. This ordinance proposes to make changes and adjustments in the West Valley City Council district boundaries. This is a process that happens every 10 years as the census is conducted and then approved. We went through a process where we made some recommendations based on various factors that could affect those council districts, and at the conclusion of that made a particular recommendation of that to the council, which they're now here to consider.
Thank you. Council members, 12-06. Any thoughts, questions, or motion?
Motion to approve 12-06.
Second.
Thank you both. Any further discussions to that motion? For the sake of you scouts, if we move rather quickly here, it's not because we know you like a short meeting, but it's because we've had a chance to discuss everything we're talking about today in a previous week's study meeting, which we do in the afternoons on Tuesday. So we always have at least 1 week to consider what we're looking at, and that gives us some time to ask questions or research things and whatnot. All right, so we have a motion on the floor then for 12-06. Any additional comments?
I was just going to say, I think that the big improvement on this, or from going through this process, is not only to clean it up, to reallocate representation for the districts, but it's also good to see how major roads, major landmarks, major boundaries were able to be implemented in this process. And so it turned out to be good as opposed to what it could be, or to what other cities end up having to deal with little islands and sub pockets. But it's 4 very well-represented districts.
Great. Any other comments?
Just, I think, Wayne, are we going to do some sort of outreach to let people know that the boundaries have changed at all, or should we just, as elected officials, let our constituents know that. I lose a very large portion of what was in my district now, and it goes to District 3.
Let me refer that question to Ms. McKendrick, Steve. What kind of notice or other means would a registered voter find out where their district boundary was or was not as that changes? Just by the notice of where their polling place is, or how would they find that out?
We'll send the map to the county and notify them, and when they send out new updated voter registration cards, they'll let the voters know that. It's posted on our website, and we'll find out ways to let people know.
And that was my next question. Have we done other things to, in the past, to notify people of what the district boundary changes have been? Right. That was going to be my, thank you. That was going to be my next comment, which was going to be that we do have the ability to put things like, maps on the website and those sort of things now, which would be pretty simple to do. So.
It may not hurt to, even in the Valley Journal, when we update this month, we do something on redistricting and have the map in there. And I see a Salt Lake Tribune representative with us today. Perhaps she's planning to cover redistricting and maybe have a map. I see heads nodding. Good. So there's other outlets too. And
just one other note. I think it's interesting to watch redistricting at all different levels as the census goes, in how political it can become, and I think it's interesting. In our case, it's just done by the administration and by the staff, and we were able to kind of look at 3 or 4 options and give our input, but it was done by just administrative staff, wasn't done politically, so I think that's always a good thing too.
One other thought that just occurred to me is Mr. Pyle, we've talked before about the need to update our large aerial map in the lobby. That was done in 2000. And maybe when we have our GIS group update that large aerial photo map, maybe you draw the council boundaries on. I think it's helpful when visitors come to City Hall or scouts or others, and they can see what council district they're in. Just a thought.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. We've had some discussion. Any other comments? All in favor of approving ordinance 12-06, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And our redistricting ordinance passes unanimously. We have several resolutions to consider tonight. The first, 1209, Mr. Pyle.
Thanks, Mayor. This first resolution is for the purpose of authorizing the city to enter into a lease purchase agreement with Pierce Manufacturing. They produce fire trucks, and we're looking at buying a new transport pumper, and are proposing to lease that over a 10-year lease with semi-annual payments. Got a very good interest rate on that. It's a very expensive piece of machinery, but it is time to replace this. The current piece of equipment that we're talking about is approximately 10, might be older than that, years, and so we need to move forward with that.
Okay, thank you. Council?
Mayor, I would move approval of resolution 1209.
Second.
With the motion and second, any discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That too passes unanimously. Mr. Pyle, 12-10.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing an easement encroachment agreement. It would be between 3 parties, the city, U.S. Department of Interior, and Utopia, and would allow for some installation of conduit that Utopia would propose to use across property owned by the city that is next to or adjacent to the Jordan Aqueduct to reach 3. There's a map in the back of your packet there illustrating where that's at, if there's any question.
Okay, any questions on that or a motion?
Mr. Pyle, this is access only, no cost to the city, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Mayor, move for approval of resolution 1210.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving 1210, say aye.
Aye.
That passes. 1211, Mr. Pyle.
Thank you, sir. 1211 would approve a sponsorship agreement between West Valley City and Land of Frost. Land of Frost does a sponsorship of recreation programs at the fitness center, and this would bring us $12,000 in revenue.
Move for approval of resolution 12-11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
That too passes unanimously. We have item 10 tonight, a consent agenda of various regular and sundry items to be considered.
Mayor, I would move approval of the 5 items in the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
That too passes unanimously. I understand there's no need for an executive session, but before we come to item 12 to adjourn, just a note for those in the audience, we not only act as the City Council, but on occasion, including tonight, we also sit as the city's redevelopment agency, board, housing authority, and building authority. And so we have some brief meetings where we switch hats for a little bit. So I now adjourn the council meeting.
Call to order the West Valley City Redevelopment Agency. Note that we have had an opening ceremony. All members of this agency, other than Ms. Lang, are present, she being excused. And we have the minutes of January 3rd, 2012.
Move for approval of the minutes of January 3rd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Mr. Powell, any communications or report?
No, sir, thanks.
We have one item of business, Resolution 12-03. Would you please inform us of that resolution?
Thank you, sir. Yes, this resolution was one of the consent agenda items on the city council, the city council meeting agenda, and it would authorize the RDA to accept a quitclaim deed from Questar Gas Company on some utility easements located on the property in the Fairborn Station project.
Any questions or discussions regarding Resolution 12-03 or a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor of approving Resolution 12-03, please say aye.
Aye.
And that passes. New business tonight, we have elections.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we nominate, would like to nominate Don Christensen to be the chair and Steve Vincent to be the vice chair for year 2012 redevelopment agency.
Thank you, Mr. Rushton. Any other nominations? Not. Let's vote. Those in favor of electing Don Christensen chair and Steve Vincent vice chair for this coming year, please say aye.
Aye.
And that was unanimous. Is that sufficient? Okay, then our next item of business is to adjourn this meeting. We stand adjourned.
Call to order the West Valley Housing Authority. We've had a roll call and show that Mrs. Lang has been excused. We've had our opening ceremony. We need approval of minutes of January 3rd.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any communications?
No, sir, thanks.
Court? Looks like the only new business we have are the elections for the 2012 Housing Authority Chair and Vice Chair.
I nominate Corey Rushton to serve as chair and Karen Lang to serve as vice chair of this body.
Second.
Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. We'll adjourn this meeting.
Call to order the regular meeting of the Building Authority of West Valley City. Note that we have our minutes of December 6th, 2011.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes of December 6th, 2011?
Aye.
Aye.
Any report or communications from Mr. Pyle?
No, sir, thank you.
Still none, huh?
Nope.
Okay. New business is to elect a chairperson for 2012.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we But I'd like to nominate Steve Bueller to be the chair of the Building Authority and Tom Hume to be the vice chair. Mr. Bueller did a good job with the redevelopment agency, so it's appropriate to promote him to be chair of the Municipal Building Authority.
Boy, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Mr. Bueller serve as chair and Mr. Hume as vice chair for 2012. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote is unanimous. We'll adjourn this meeting.